How can you tell what's real and what's fake?
Talk to him. I'm like, whoa. I don't even talk to him like that on the phone yet.
Yeah.
And he just was like, I want to know like what's going through his mind to think that he can just like talk to my daughter like that. And I'm like, whoa, like this is a pretty intense reaction from my dad. And then he kind of like followed up with, I was like, oh dad, like I'm not letting you talk to this guy on the phone, what the heck? But then he just said, there comes a time in life where like in this parent and child relationship, because I was still under their roof, he's fully paying for my college and my car. When I say no, you just have to listen, even if it doesn't make sense. And I was like, that makes no sense. What do you mean you just say no and I say, like, I just listen? Like, we've never done that in our family. Like, what the heck? So I was really mad at my parents for a while. And I spoke with my brother. He didn't love it either. I mean, that was really enough for me to be like, okay, my family is honestly right now the most important thing to me. 3 out of 3 says they don't like it. That's got to tell me something.
My mom made rum marinated crab.
I need more sauce.
From the start, Sarah cultivated a wholesome social media presence, primarily sharing content about family life, cooking, and her experiences as a young wife. Her warm and soft-spoken demeanor resonated with many, earning her a loyal following. Andrew was gradually introduced into her content, appearing in occasional videos and live streams. At first, viewers saw them as a loving couple, but subtle red flags began to emerge. Observant followers noticed that Andrew was often passive, rarely taking on household responsibilities or participating in meaningful discussions. Some even pointed out that Sarah seemed to be the one constantly praising and uplifting him, while he remains indifferent or dismissive.
We ran out of kimchi because this guy ate it all. You eat like half the ton per meal.
Kimchi.
So I'm here on a mission to refill our kimchi. Mama's taking me down to the source where all the magic happens. Dun, 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 dun. What should we take, Mom? How much is that one, Mom? Oh, Mom! Love? Honey garlic. 얘는 깍두기. When do we make this? 이거만 가져가면 될 것 같아.
As their relationship became more public, early concerns surfaced. Fans questioned why Sarah, who worked tirelessly, was also handling domestic chores while Andrew appeared to contribute little. The dynamic seemed unbalanced.
We ran out of kimchi because this guy ate it all. You eat like half the ton per meal.
Kimchi.
So I'm here on a mission to refill our kimchi. Mama's taking me down to the source where all the magic happens. Dun, 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 dun. What should we take, Mom? How much is that one, Mom? Oh, Mom! Love? Honey garlic. 얘는 깍두기. When do we make this? 이거만 가져가면 될 것 같아.
As their relationship became more public, early concerns surfaced. Fans questioned why Sarah, who worked tirelessly, was also handling domestic chores while Andrew appeared to contribute little. The dynamic seemed unbalanced, but many were willing to give the couple the benefit of the doubt, until the pregnancy announcement changed everything. The couple had been together for over 6.5 years. They tied the knot in June 2021 and recently announced that they were expecting a baby in 2025.
Congratulations, Grandma.
어머나, 세라야. 아니, 세라야. 내가 한 달 전에 꿈을 꿨어.
Oh no. These moms in their dreams. Yeah.
할머니가 너무 고운 모습으로 너무 선명하게 애기는 아주 갓난뱅이여서 너무 예쁘게 모자를 세우고 얼굴은 생각이 안 나. 너무 예쁜 애기를 할머니가 이렇게 데리고 내가 세라에게 주말에 적어놨다. 그날 이게 무슨 꿈인지 나 알게 해주세요. 기도를 했다. Oh my goodness.
Congratulations, Grandma.
어머, 어쩌면 좋나. 우리 세라 저기 입도 안 하고 이렇게.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I'm okay, honey. Yeah.
10개월 내내.
Oh my goodness.
애기 사진이잖아. 어머. 그런데 너 괜찮니?
Yeah.
앤디, congratulations.
Thank you. Now she's acknowledging me.
나안 믿어진다 우리 아들이.
Sarah's pregnancy reveal was meant to be a joyous moment, but it inadvertently deepened public scrutiny. The announcement was shared in a heartfelt video featuring Sarah and Andrew breaking the news to her parents. While Sarah was visibly emotional and excited, her father's reaction was telling. Instead of an enthusiastic celebration, Sarah's father appeared worried. He expressed concerns about Sarah taking on even more responsibilities, especially with Andrew still unemployed. His apprehension was palpable. And for many viewers, it confirmed what they had suspected all along. Sarah was in an unequal partnership. You can pay a little attention to the dad's reaction, specifically because a lot of people in the comment section are pointing at how he looks a little bit concerned about the whole thing, specifically with Andrew's involvement with the baby. If you look back in most video after everything, a lot of people have been showing more concern about the father's reaction. I don't think the father's reaction here makes any sense if you see it in that way. He doesn't look as worried or stressed as a lot of people are saying that he does. I mean, he just looks a bit shocked at the information. Doesn't look like he's annoyed at Andrew specifically in any sort of way.
Always so heavy. Oh.
Baby?
진짜요?
Wow! Congratulations! 어떡해. 진짜? 우리 애기가 애기 낳네?
축하해.
그랬구나.
축하해.
내가 요즘에 자꾸 그런 생각 들어가지고. 뭐가? 아니, 자꾸 너가 애기 얘기도 하고, 나 우리 아이들은 언제 애기 같지? 뭐 이런 생각을 했었거든. 어떡해.
축하해, 앤드류.
Oh, thank you.
Are you okay? I'm okay. 그래서 우리 애기가 점점 이렇게 몸이 힘들었구나. 엄마도 알아? 이 엄마?
We have to go right now.
today? 와. 드디어 할머니, 리얼 할머니 되네. 웬일이야.
이거 봐.
Congrats, girl.
Congrats.
예, 할렐루야. 할렐루야지, 하나님한테, 그지?
Yeah.
Praise the Lord. 엄마가 계속 배에 얹고 기도해 줬잖아, 그치? 푸푸잖아. 나 푸푸. 베이비.
몇 주야 그러면?
I'm 9.
9 weeks?
아니.
와우, 안
You want me
믿겨지네.
to keep recording?
하나님 영광 받는 귀한 가족이 되게 도와주시옵소서.
Damn, I've watched her reels and I never knew that. No wonder why her dad looked so uneasy when she told him she was pregnant. Meanwhile, the moment ignited a wave of discussions online. People began dissecting Sarah and Andrew's relationship, questioning why Sarah's father seemed more burdened than happy. The reactions reinforced the idea that Sarah was shouldering an unfair load, not just financially, but emotionally as well. Following the pregnancy reveal, Andrew's role in the relationship came under even more scrutiny. Critics pointed out that instead of stepping up for his growing family, he continued to exhibit the same passive behavior, further fueling concerns about Sarah's well-being. A key aspect of the debate surrounding Sarah and Andrew's relationship is the influence of cultural and religious factors. Sarah comes from a Korean-American background. and many have speculated that her acceptance of the relationship dynamic is shaped by deeply ingrained societal expectations. In traditional Korean culture, women are often encouraged to prioritize family and sacrifice for their husbands, sometimes at the expense of their own well-being. This cultural backdrop might explain why Sarah continues to defend Andrew despite growing criticism. Additionally, their involvement in church culture appears to reinforce these gender roles. Many Korean American churches emphasize traditional family structures, where women are expected to be nurturing and selfless, while men assume leadership roles, even when they fail to fulfill them. Some argue that Sarah's unwavering support for Andrew stems from a belief that it's her duty to uphold the relationship regardless of the challenges.
I know we're talking weird stuff right here, but maybe I don't need to chase that prestigious job at that big company to make me feel good about myself. Maybe I don't need to go to that website. Maybe I don't need to go sleep with that other person. Maybe I don't need those things. I need Jesus.
This dynamic has sparked a broader conversation about the pressures placed on women in conservative religious communities. While Sarah may see her devotion as an act of love and faith, outsiders view it as an unhealthy imbalance, where she is expected to carry the weight of the relationship alone. But nonetheless, the combination of cultural expectations, religious teachings, and personal beliefs seems to shape Sarah's perception of her marriage. However, as public scrutiny grows, many wonder if she'll eventually recognize the toll it's taking on her and make a change.
About 2 weeks before my wedding, I decided to buy a PC.
For many, the breaking point in their perception of Andrew came during a viral podcast episode. In what seemed like a casual conversation, Sarah mentioned an incident that immediately struck a nerve with viewers. She recounted a night when she had fallen asleep on the couch alone, while Andrew stayed up all night playing video games on his computer. At first, the anecdote seemed insignificant, but the more Sarah spoke, the clearer it became that this wasn't a one-time occurrence. She described feeling exhausted, working long hours, and handling household responsibilities while Andrew indulged in gaming marathons. Instead of coming to bed with her, supporting her through pregnancy, or helping with daily chores, he remained glued to his screen.
And she woke up, and the way that she looked at me and recoiled as if I was stranger danger, I felt like she was terrified.
What made this moment particularly alarming was Sarah's tone. She wasn't complaining. If anything, she seems to be normalizing the situation, even laughing off the fact that she often found herself alone at night while Andrew remained immersed in his own world. For the audience, this wasn't just a story about an imbalanced relationship. It was a glimpse into a dynamic where Sarah was overburdened and Andrew was seemingly indifferent. The actions spread rapidly, with people calling it a defining moment that exposed the true nature of their relationship. Critics saw it as proof that Andrew was failing as a partner, while Sarah, either unwilling or unable to recognize the issue, continued to defend him. While the story clip was the most widely discussed, it was just one of the many moments from the podcast that painted a troubling picture of their relationship.
So I can't really sleep, and I find our love seat, which is a little two-person couch that we use in our dining table. So I literally just laid on our love seat. Thank God I'm small enough to fit and use it as a bed. And I must have actually fallen asleep because it's so late. I get woken up by Andrew, and I don't know what time it is. I'm disoriented. He goes, "My love, how long were you out here for?" And I open my eyes, and the sun is out. This man is one, awake, two, didn't know I was out here till the sun came out. Must have been 7 a.m.
It was probably 6 or 7.
Yeah, 6
It was
isn't really
winter time
helping your
too.
case.
Yeah, it was winter time, so the sun comes up later.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so upsetting. Is this my life from now on? And I'm like, my love, have you been playing until now? And you're just like, yes. And I don't even know if you turned off your computer still at that point. I think you just ran out because you just noticed that I wasn't in bed. And I was like, okay, maybe. And at this point too, I wasn't the healthiest version of myself.
Following the viral podcast episode, Sarah and Andrew's relationship became the center of intense online debates.
I saw Sarah Kim's post addressing the controversy about her and her husband, Andrew Min. And there's just one thing that I wanted to say that really bothered me when I saw that, is the fact that she was alone addressing this. I think that Christian pastors have a bad name by outsiders or even possibly insiders for many reasons. And one of them is they don't take accountability. They think that they can get away with things because they're a pastor or they're a leader in a church. I don't see how God approves that.
Social media users quickly divided into two camps. One side sympathizing with Sarah, viewing her as a devoted partner sacrificing for love, while the other side criticized Andrew's perceived lack of contribution and effort. Many users pointed out that Sarah seemed to be financially and emotionally carrying the relationship, fueling broader discussions on gender roles and modern relationships. Some argue that Andrew's behavior exemplified a larger societal issue, where women are expected to
Look, when it comes to running a small business, I'm the creative director, just a little bit to the right. The videographer, the lighting technician, of course the talent, and action. And of course I do
support and uplift their partners, while men face fewer expectations to reciprocate. Others defended their dynamic, insisting that outsiders couldn't fully understand the relationship from a few viral clips.
But I still had to come face to face with, I still need a provider. No matter how many times I can double, triple, quadruple your income, I still need a financial provider or contributor. And it's like, how do I express that need to you without bringing guilt or shame along with it?
Yeah.
So then that was really hard for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And did I think about what if I married rich?
Yeah.
During those hard times? Probably. Yeah. Like, wow, if I just married a really rich dude, this wouldn't be happening. But I'm like, damn, I am the really rich dude.
She wasn't at the time, by the way.
No, not when you were.
Not when we got married.
No,
and stuff.
I was getting paid pennies at PwC.
Yeah.
Hourly.
In another part of the discussion, Sarah casually revealed that she had been the sole financial provider for the past 2 years while Andrew remained unemployed. The revelation shocked listeners, especially considering Sarah was working multiple jobs while also managing household tasks. The way Sarah framed the situation was what stood out. She didn't express resentment or frustration. Instead, she framed it as something she had willingly taken on, almost as if it were her responsibility to support Andrew, rather than a temporary circumstance. Viewers found this concerning for multiple reasons. First, it reinforced the imbalance in their relationship. Second, it raised questions about Andrew's willingness to contribute. While it's not uncommon for partners to support each other during tough times, Andrew's continued unemployment, coupled with his seemingly passive attitude, made people question whether he was genuinely trying to change his situation.
I tend to be more tidy, but Sarah might be a little bit more on the clean side.
Yeah.
Like there's a difference between messy and dirty, right?
Yeah.
So I like always want to put stuff away. I put stuff back into the cupboards. I put things back into their place. And I've just kind of owned the fact that it's probably most of the time going to be me doing that. And there's a temptation to always kind of think I'm doing more than she is, because that's just like it's just like the bias that we have. You see everything you do, but you don't see everything that your spouse does. One time where I said, sometimes I just feel like I have to do more of the heavy lifting when it comes to our relationship growing. Even the whole like working on conflict and resolution, stuff like that, or becoming, improving ourselves and becoming better people or whatever. I was like, I just feel like, why do I always have to initiate that? And then my mentor was just like, because you're the husband and that's your wife. And if that's just the reality of who she is, then you own that. And that's going to be your job. And I was just like, oh, I felt really humbled. She was a woman and she was like, that's you.
One of the most frustrating moments for listeners came when Andrew spoke about self-improvement. While he acknowledged that he wanted to be better, his words lacked conviction. He talked about wanting to get a job, help out, and grow as a person, but there was little evidence that he was taking action. Critics pointed out that Andrew's statements felt performative. He was saying the right things, but failing to back them up with tangible effort. This only solidified the public's perception of him as someone who relied on Sarah's support without putting in equal effort to improve their circumstances. For many, these moments on the podcast weren't just red flags. They were proof that Andrew lacked accountability. Instead of acknowledging the burden Sarah carried, he seemed content with letting things continue as they were. The frustration was compounded by Sarah's continued defense of him, which led to the next major point of discussion.
Our current reality is this. Andrew and I are stepping into what is about to be one of the most beautiful chapters of our lives, as we are beyond excited for the arrival of our baby. We both work jobs that we love. We moved into this beautiful home that we get to start a new family, and we're also surrounded by the absolute best and most supportive friends and family. And we believe that the best is yet to come.
Despite the mounting criticism, Sarah remained steadfast in her support for Andrew. Throughout the podcast episode and in subsequent discussions, Sarah insisted that Andrew was not a burden. She downplayed concerns, brushing off accusations that she was carrying the relationship alone. She emphasized that Andrew was trying and that their situation wasn't as bad as people were making it out to be. Nevertheless, her reassurances did little to convince critics. From an outside perspective, the imbalance was undeniable. Sarah was working multiple jobs, handling the household, and preparing for motherhood, while Andrew remained stagnant. The more she defended him, the more people speculated about why she was so resistant to acknowledge the problem. This led to a significant online debate. Did Sarah truly believe Andrew wasn't a burden, or was she conditioned to think this way? Some argued that Sarah was in denial, unable to admit that she was in an unequal relationship. Others believed that cultural and religious influences played a major role in shaping her mindset. As discussed earlier, Sarah's Korean-American background and involvement in church culture may have instilled in her a sense of duty to support her partner, even at her own expense. Some also speculated that Sarah might fear backlash for speaking out against Andrew. If she were to publicly acknowledge his shortcomings, it could force her to confront uncomfortable truths about their relationship, truths she might not be ready to face. As the backlash intensified, more people began expressing genuine concern for Sarah.
Hey, everybody. Hey there. A warm welcome to you. Thanks for joining me here on the Oprah podcast. I am actually really excited to talk to Jonathan Haidt about his book, The Anxious Generation, How the Great Rewiring of Childhood is Causing an Epidemic of Mental Illness. This book is doing something that you actually don't see often these days. It's causing a real shift in public opinion and even policies in a big way. For anyone under the age of 25, and certainly for other age groups, much of life is lived through smartphones, tablets, and on social media.
Well-being. What initially started as criticism of Andrew had evolved into a discussion about Sarah's mental and emotional health. People worried that she was trapped in a cycle of self-sacrifice, unable to see that she deserved better. In the aftermath of the podcast, the discourse surrounding Sarah and Andrew's relationship reached new heights. The internet wasn't just questioning Andrew's role anymore. They were questioning whether Sarah would ever recognize the imbalance and take action.
The more important thing I want to talk about here are the painful stories that many of you have been sharing regarding your hurt and pain that have been caused by abusive church cultures and church leaders. And I want to take a moment to honor that because it's so real, and it particularly breaks Andrew and my heart because we carry similar experiences of our own, and it's taken so much time for us to heal and process, and we're still going through that healing. And we're grateful to have found a church where we feel safe enough to at least continue that healing. And Andrew is so passionate about bringing health to the church, and he wants to be a part of cultivating that culture of integrity, safety, and love. And so for those of you who have followed our journey for quite some time now, I am very grateful that you have gotten to know the Andrew that I very much still love to this day.
One of the biggest discussions surrounding Sarah and Andrew's relationship revolves around gender roles. Their dynamic has sparked a debate about the expectations placed on men and women in relationships, particularly when it comes to financial and emotional labor. In more traditional relationships, particularly those influenced by cultural or religious backgrounds, there's often an expectation that the man will be the provider while the woman takes on domestic responsibilities. This structure is deeply ingrained in many societies and has historically been the norm. Even today in certain communities, women are encouraged to be supportive partners, prioritizing their family's well-being over their personal ambitions or comfort. For some, Sarah and Andrew's situation is a reversal of this model. Instead of Andrew being the provider, it's Sarah who is shouldering the financial and domestic burdens. Rather than being seen as a simple role reversal, their situation raises questions about fairness and accountability. Unlike traditional relationships where both roles are clearly defined, here Andrew is not taking on the responsibilities traditionally associated with either role. He's neither financially supporting the household nor making up for it with domestic labor. It's that religious manipulation. I grew up in the Korean church, and it's insane how toxic and judgmental the members could be. It would not surprise me that the guy's probably well liked at the church, and she's gaslighted herself into thinking he's perfect for her because other church members think he's a good person. In contrast to traditional setups, modern relationship ideals emphasize equality, meaning both partners should contribute in a way that ensures a balanced and fair relationship. This doesn't necessarily mean both partners must work the same number of hours or earn the same amount, but it does mean that there should be a sense of mutual effort and respect. For many critics, Sarah and Andrew's relationship doesn't align with modern values either. Instead of a partnership where both are working together towards shared goals, it appears to be one-sided. Sarah's not just the primary provider, she is seemingly the only active participant in maintaining their household and future. This lack of balance has fueled frustration, especially among women who feel that Sarah's situation mirrors a wider societal issue. In many relationships, women are still expected to do it all, working outside the home, handling domestic duties, and emotionally supporting their partners. Sarah's case in many ways is an extreme example of this burden. Another key issue in their dynamic is emotional labor, the often invisible work of managing feelings, supporting a partner, and keeping a relationship functioning. Many have pointed out that Sarah appears to be carrying the emotional weight of their relationship, constantly excusing Andrew's lack of contribution and reassuring both herself and the public that everything is fine. This aligns with broader conversations about how women are often expected to be the emotional caretakers in relationships. While Sarah is making sacrifices, Andrew does not appear to be putting in the same effort to support her emotionally or practically. This imbalance has made their story resonate with people who have experienced similar situations in their own relationships.
Things will probably change when we have a baby and, we're both getting really busy with work.
Sarah's background as a Korean-American woman and her ties to a religious community have also shaped the conversation. In many East Asian cultures, traditional gender roles are still upheld within families, and there is a strong emphasis on duty and perseverance in relationships. Women are often expected to be patient and nurturing, even in difficult circumstances. Additionally, Sarah's involvement in a faith-based community may reinforce those expectations. Many religious teachings emphasize loyalty and commitment in marriage, sometimes discouraging women from challenging their husbands or leaving unhappy relationships. While Sarah and Andrew are not yet married, some speculate that Sarah's cultural and religious upbringing has conditioned her to accept this dynamic, rather than push for change. This has sparked discussions about how societal norms can influence women's perceptions of what they should tolerate in a relationship. Back to Andrew's case. Why does Andrew's unemployment stand out? The backlash against Andrew is not just about his job status, it's about his attitude toward his role in the relationship. If Andrew were actively seeking work, contributing in other meaningful ways, or expressing genuine remorse about his lack of contrition, the criticism might be less severe. However, his casual approach to unemployment, combined with Sarah's overwhelming workload, has made their situation a case study in gender imbalances. This has led to a wider debate about accountability in relationships. While traditional gender roles have long expected men to be providers, modern expectations recognize that financial situations can fluctuate. However, what remains essential is effort and contribution in some form. Andrew's perceived.
Welcome to Brush Park's City Modern. The contemporary community is made up of
lack of both has solidified the public's frustration that discourse surrounding Sarah and Andrew is not just about their personal relationship. It's about broader societal expectations and the evolving roles of men and women. Their situation highlights the tension between traditional gender norms and modern relationship expectations, as well as the burden often placed on women to maintain relationships at their own expense. As this conversation continues, it raises important questions. How much should one partner be expected to sacrifice for the other? At what point does patience turn into self-neglect? And most importantly, will Sarah recognize the imbalance in her relationship before it's too late? But have they addressed the controversy?
I think you're going to be an amazing mama.
Thank you.
As the criticism surrounding Sarah and Andrew intensified, many wondered whether they would respond publicly. With their relationship dynamics dissected across social media platforms, audiences expected some kind of acknowledgement, whether in the form of an apology, a clarification, or outright dismissal of the claims. Some influencers in similar situations have chosen to ignore backlash entirely, hoping it will fade over time. Others attempt damage control by addressing concerns head-on, either through an explanation video or carefully crafted statements on social media. If Sarah and Andrew have spoken out, how they chose to frame their response is crucial. Did they acknowledge the criticism with understanding, or did they double down on defending the dynamic? Did Sarah attempt to reassure her audience that she is happy despite the concerns raised? Or did Andrew finally step up and take accountability for his role in the relationship? She defended her husband's work ethic and role in their relationship. Even in the beginning of our marriage, I've had long periods of time where I didn't have a job, and Andrew was the one who had fully supported us through that. And so in the season where Andrew's in between jobs, I am more than happy to stand by him. She explained that even during his job transition, he did everything that he could to make sure that we're taken care of. That's from picking up part-time jobs, freelance gigs, helping me with all the back end of my social media platforms, and along with finishing his master's. She also clarified that Andrew is now working full-time, and that they recently moved into a new home ahead of the birth of their child. She also reiterated her love for Andrew. He pampers me with daily messages. From day one has never let me do even a load of laundry, and I cannot imagine having anyone else be my husband and father of my future child.
I took this past week to unplug because my top priority is to protect the peace and the health of my family. But I'm aware of the situation, and I know that many of you come from a place of care, and so just wanted to take the opportunity to clarify some things. Andrew and I, from the very beginning, we have committed to being there for each other and supporting each other through anything and everything. And so even in the beginning of our marriage, I've had long periods of time where I didn't have a job, whether that was because I had quit a job or been impacted by mass layoffs, and Andrew was the one who had fully supported us through that. And so in the season where Andrew's in between jobs, I am more than happy to stand by him. And even through this transition, he did everything that he could to make sure that we're taken care of, whether that's from picking up part-time jobs, freelance gigs, helping me with all the back end of my social media platforms, and along with finishing his master's. And right now he's working a full-time job that he very much loves, which I love for him. And it's already come with so many blessings. And the biggest one being us being able to move into this house where we get to start our new family. About the joke that he told before starting his sermon, I want everyone to know that we have so much care and respect for one another, and especially because we both have public-facing platforms. For me, it'd be online, and then for him, it's the church. We have a system that we set in place quite some time ago where we will always run things by each other, especially if we're going to be talking about each other or showing each other. And Andrew simply would never say anything that I wouldn't already be aware of or something that I wouldn't like. The more important thing I want to talk about here are the painful stories that many of you have been sharing regarding your hurt and pain that have been caused by abusive church cultures and church leaders. And I want to take a moment to honor that because it's so real, and it particularly breaks Andrew and my heart because we carry similar experiences of our own, and it's taken so much time for us to heal and process, and we're still going through that healing. And we're grateful to have found a church where we feel safe enough to at least continue that healing. And Andrew is so passionate about bringing health to the church, and he wants to be a part of cultivating that culture of integrity, safety, and love. And so for those of you who have followed our journey for quite some time now, I am very grateful that you have gotten to know the Andrew that I very much still love to this day. The man who pampers me with daily massages from day one, has never let me even do a load of laundry. The man who's my absolute safe space and my home. And I cannot imagine having anyone else be my husband and the father of my future child. I care so much about people being celebrated for truly who they are, and I wouldn't want anyone else to have to experience their life or even their loved ones to be misrepresented. Like, take for a small example, a very sweet and intimate moment where Andrew and I are taking a look at our very first ultrasound in the park.
Your child has one heart, which is why you should choose the doctors with the most heart. Choose
parking lot of our hospital has somehow become a story of he's at a boys trip and so missed my ultrasound, when in reality he came straight to the hospital as soon as his scheduled job interview had ended, hoping to make the appointment. Social media can only capture fractions of my whole life, and as much as I want to continue sharing these sweet moments, I do, after this experience, have a much clearer sense of what I do want to share with the public and what I will be keeping to myself in private. If I'm being completely honest here, this week has been filled with moments of frustration, grief, and sheer bafflement.
Beyond personal scrutiny, Sarah and Andrew's brand has also felt the effects of this controversy. Their audience engagement has noticeably shifted, with some longtime followers expressing disappointment, while others continue to support Sarah unconditionally. The backlash has also raised questions about how influencers handle personal controversy. Have they directly responded to the criticism, or are they avoiding the topic altogether? Some social media personalities in similar situations have addressed concerns head-on, while others have attempted to downplay or ignore the discourse entirely. If they choose to remain silent, their audience might interpret it as indifference, potentially damaging their credibility in the long run. Alternatively, if they address the situation, they risk further backlash depending on their response.
Breaking news, Sarah King sadly responded to the online abuse directed at her husband. So, Sarah works a 9-to-5 corporate job, has over 3 million followers, and commutes 2 hours a day.
Controversy can permanently alter how influencers are perceived and how they navigate their online presence. In Sarah and Andrew's case, there are several ways their content might shift following the backlash. More private approach. Some influencers react to public scrutiny by withdrawing from the spotlight, limiting personal content, or turning off comments to avoid further criticism. They might push back against their critics, framing themselves as victims of online hate rather than addressing the valid concerns raised. To regain control of the narrative, they might attempt to reshape their image, perhaps by portraying Andrew in a more positive light or showcasing more equal contributions in their relationship. Have they subtly changed the way they present their relationship online? Are they now avoiding certain topics that could reignite backlash? Or are they leaning into controversy for engagement? These factors will determine how the public continues to perceive them moving forward.
And I wouldn't want anyone else to have to experience their life or even their loved ones to be misrepresented. Like, take for a small example, a very sweet and intimate moment where Andrew and I are taking a look at our very first ultrasound in the parking lot of our hospital has somehow become a story of he's at a boys trip and so missed my ultrasound, when in reality he came straight to the hospital as soon as his scheduled job interview had ended, hoping to make the appointment. Social media can only capture fractions of my whole life, and as much as I want to continue sharing these sweet moments, I do, after this experience, have a much clearer sense of what I do want to share with the public and what I will be keeping to myself in private. If I'm being completely honest here, this week has been filled with moments of frustration.
Sarah's unwavering defense of Andrew has led many to question whether deeper psychological factors are at play. Is she staying in this dynamic out of love, or could there be elements of codependency influencing her perspective? Codependency occurs when one partner's identity and self-worth become heavily intertwined with their role as a caretaker. Given Sarah's continuous justifications for Andrew, some speculate that she may struggle with setting boundaries and recognizing when a relationship is imbalanced. Andrew, despite criticism, may feel defensive and resistant to change. Sarah, on the other hand, might feel trapped between her love for Andrew and the overwhelming disapproval from the outside world. These psychological and emotional aspects complicate the conversation, showing that beyond financial and practical concerns, there are personal and internal struggles that could be shaping their decisions. One of the biggest questions following this controversy is whether Sarah and Andrew's relationship will evolve. Public pressure can sometimes force a change, whether through direct actions, such as Andrew actively looking for work, or indirect shifts, such as Sarah realizing the imbalance in their relationship. And regardless, some fans commend Sarah for her kind heart towards Andrew. People have too much time on their hands. Y'all don't know their relationships. Marriage is about supporting each other through ups and downs. It's not always perfect. People are so jealous and judgmental. She's here to defend her man. Marriage is hard and it takes work to make it last. All relationships have their ups and downs, and if you can survive the downs, the ups will be a lot sweeter. For though people criticizing her and her marriage have not been in that one, it is called commitment, and obviously she and Andrew has taken that word seriously and to heart. I wish them and the baby well. Several possible scenarios could unfold. Andrew might step up. If Andrew recognizes the public criticism as a wake-up call, he may take steps to change, whether by seeking employment, contributing more at home, or demonstrating more support for Sarah. This would likely soften public perception of him and potentially repair their image as a couple. Also, if Sarah begins to see the imbalance in her relationship more clearly, she might set new boundaries with Andrew. This could lead to either a more equitable partnership or, in extreme cases, the end of their relationship if the issues remain unresolved. And if both continue to downplay or dismiss criticism, they may maintain the same dynamic, albeit under more public scrutiny. This could result in a loss of audience trust and long-term damage to their online presence. The media presence depends on how they handle this controversy. Some influencers are able to navigate backlash and rebuild their brand, while others struggle to recover. If they adapt, if they take public criticism into account and demonstrate a shift in their dynamic, their audience may be more forgiving. This could lead to increased engagement as people remain invested in how their story unfolds. If they remain unchanged, if their content continues to reflect the same controversial dynamic, they may lose followers who no longer wish to support them. However, they could still attract an audience that enjoys the drama or aligns with traditional relationship roles. If they capitalize on the attention, some influencers turn controversy into content, addressing backlash in dramatic or exaggerated ways to keep people engaged. If Sarah and Andrew choose this route, they might lean into the criticism and use it as a way to stay relevant. Regardless of what they choose, their future as influencers will depend on whether they can maintain credibility and adapt to audience expectations. Sarah and Andrew's story has resonated with audiences because it touches on broader themes about relationships, gender roles, and emotional labor. Their dynamic isn't just about them, it reflects patterns that many people recognize in their own lives or in society at large. The controversy highlights the evolving expectations in modern relationships, where financial and emotional contributions are increasingly expected to be mutual. It also underscores the internet's role in holding influencers accountable for the narratives they present. When someone builds an audience by sharing their life, that audience feels entitled to voice their opinions, especially when they perceive harm or imbalance.
Did I think about what if I married rich?
Yeah.
During those hard times? Probably. Like, wow, if I just married a really rich dude, this wouldn't be happening. But I'm like, damn, I am the really rich dude.
Another big debate surrounding this controversy is whether Andrew's behavior should be excused due to cultural or personal factors. Some argue that Sarah's background and upbringing may make her life more accepting of a traditional dynamic, even if it appears one-sided to outsiders. Others believe that cultural context should not be used to justify an unequal relationship, especially when one partner is visibly struggling while the other appears indifferent. At the end of the day, accountability matters. While different relationships function in different ways, what has made this situation controversial is the perception that Sarah is carrying an unfair burden. The question remains, will she realize this and demand change? Or will she continue defending Andrew despite growing public concern? As the internet watches their next moves, one thing is certain. The conversation surrounding Sarah and Andrew has sparked important discussions about fairness, responsibility, and the evolving expectations of modern partnerships.
She has now sadly responded. Sarah works a 9-to-5 corporate job, has over 3 million followers where she commutes over 2 hours a day. She's pregnant. Meanwhile, her allegedly unemployed husband plays video games, doesn't cook or clean, doesn't seem to see an issue with this. So for context, this is Sarah Kim, and Sarah posts about her job and family these massive kimchi video and her parents who clearly love her so much. She seems like a super happy person, but this is where it gets a little more crazier. This is Sarah's baby daddy, and people are really angry with him. While Sarah has 2 full-time jobs and is pregnant, her husband allegedly left his job months ago, seemingly has not gotten a new job, and mentioned that he didn't bring in money for like 2 whole years for the engagement ring he gave to her. It was his divorced mom's old ring. He allegedly just gave it to her without checking her size or style preference that she allegedly had to get it redone herself.
From what is publicly known, Sarah juggles several responsibilities, including content creation, freelance work, and possibly a stable job outside of social media. Her online presence suggests that she's hardworking and financially responsible, taking on the burden of paying rent, buying groceries, and managing household expenses, all while maintaining a cheerful and supportive attitude. Despite the backlash, Sarah has continued to defend their arrangement, insisting that she is happy with the way things are. However, the strain of being the sole provider, coupled with growing public scrutiny, raises questions about how sustainable this dynamic truly is in the long run. Sarah and Andrew's relationship has sparked widespread debate, not just about their personal dynamic, but about larger societal expectations regarding relationships, gender roles, and accountability. What started as a seemingly wholesome online presence quickly turned into a cautionary tale about emotional and financial labor in partnerships, particularly when one person appears to be carrying most of the burden. While cultural and personal factors may shape how Sarah perceives her relationship, the public backlash highlights a broader shift in modern expectations. Today's audiences are quick to call out what they see as unfair dynamics, especially when those involved willingly share their lives online. Whether Sarah and Andrew choose to adapt, ignore, or push back against the criticism will ultimately determine both the future of their relationship and their social media presence. Sarah and Andrew aren't the first couple to face public scrutiny over their relationship dynamics. Numerous influencers and celebrities have found themselves in similar situations where their partnerships become subjects of controversy. By analyzing how other public figures have handled similar situations, it's possible to predict how Sarah and Andrew might move forward. Will they shift their dynamic in response to public pressure, or will they continue as they are regardless of outside opinions? As the conversation around Sarah and Andrew continues, their next steps will be crucial in determining their future, both as a couple and as influencers. If Andrew takes on a more active role, whether by seeking employment, contributing to more household responsibilities, or publicly addressing concerns, it could help reshape public perception. On the other hand, if their dynamic remains unchanged, the criticism might only intensify, potentially impacting Sarah's brand partnerships and online career. What makes Sarah and Andrew's situation particularly controversial is the contrast between traditional and modern expectations in relationships. While some argue that every couple should have the freedom to define their own dynamic, others believe that Andrew's lack of effort is a red flag that Sarah is unwilling or unable to acknowledge. The podcast revelation was a turning point in how their relationship is perceived. Viewers who had previously only speculated about Andrew's role now had concrete evidence that he was not actively contributing. As a result, their online presence has been flooded with criticism, with many urging Sarah to demand more from Andrew or to reconsider their relationship entirely.
I do, after this experience, have a much clearer sense of what I do want to share with the public and what I will be keeping to myself in private.
As their story continues to unfold, this controversy raises important questions. Will Andrew take steps to change? Or will Sarah continue to shoulder the weight of their partnership alone? The public remains divided on whether Sarah is genuinely happy with their arrangement or if she's been conditioned to accept less than she deserves. Should the internet have a say in personal relationships? When does concern become overreach? And most importantly, will Andrew take accountability? Or will Sarah continue to shoulder the weight of their partnership alone? Whatever happens next, their story serves as a case study in how online scrutiny can amplify private issues and force conversations that might otherwise remain behind closed doors. Regardless of how this unfolds, Sarah and Andrew's situation serves as a case study on relationship dynamics in the digital age, sparking important conversations about expectations, gender roles, and personal accountability. Hey guys, welcome to your favorite YouTube channel. Who are we gonna talk about today? Nevada! Today we're seeking what Nevada, the so-called influencer, is actually like and how exactly she's influencing people. Influencing or wrongly influencing? Well, Nevada's one of the highest followed influencers from Ukraine, now based in LA. Her Instagram is more perfect with 2.6 million followers. Her YouTube is massive with 7.43 million subscribers. Her fans are madly obsessed with her, and her personality? We'll be diving into it right away. She is the most toxic and most problematic influencer one could come across. She's a girl whose character changes with every new post, every new video, and every new content. She doesn't adapt with the changing trend, but literally changes her personality and character with time. And let's not call it evolution. Let's better call it chameleon-like behavior. She cries over her body shape and overall body type every now and then. She's always unhappy with the way she looks and her weight. She not only expresses that over-dramatically on her social media pages, but also shares how she copes with it. And trust me, that process itself is extremely hazardous for society. The young generation who follows her is directly, indirectly being carved with the wrong influence spread by her. She skips meals for days and days. She has bottles and bottles of vitamins and other medications as her breakfast, lunch, and dinner meals. She not only does that for herself, but puts out this campaign on her social media saying, "Who all is with me in this?" And the fans go crazy over it. There are people who follow her and admire her body and beauty, following her diet plans too. To give you a trailer of changing shades of her personality, she was stalked, followed, and her essentials were robbed by a stalker. She cried and made a mess out of it. It was all fair till the day she straight away went on a date with her stalker. In this video, we'll get to know about Nevada, her toxic personality, and the wrong influence she's spreading in society with her problematic content. Who in this realistic world of realistic content and influencers being as normal and relevant as possible skips all the meals for 9 days? Well, Nevada does.
Before this day, I didn't eat like 9 days.
Can you tell us why?
Now, this video of hers is more toxic than her friends. By friends, I mean, well, we'll come to that later. But anyone could burst into laughter by watching this video. So yes, she did not eat for 9 days straight. The reason being asked, she says, just stress, I'm nervous. I mean, sitting at a random place with a weird backdrop and talking in a lower voice isn't making you sound serious, girl. Get over it and stop acting. Ever wondered how she could survive without a bite of food? She drank Red Bull. Yeah, she just consumed Red Bull all day. People going gaga about her. Guys,